Friday, January 31st. I'm Paul Hucklack. Welcome to TV7.ca News. Lisa's off today. And today we talk about some suspected thieves the RCMP have caught. It's been 1 year since the city approved backyard chickens. And all that and so much more. But first. Well, I guess catalytic converter thefts is a regular segment on our show now. The RCMP are investigating yet numerous reports of these thefts as we speak. And last Thursday, January 23rd, they conducted a search warrant at a residence in the Sturgeon area. The search was in relation to a recent theft of a catalytic converter from a school bus at a local school. Yes, that is correct. You heard right. And as a result of that search, 29-year-old Michael Roloff and 31-year-old Tanya Runzer, both of St. Albert, are facing a number of charges. Now, those charges include theft under $5,000, mischief, and failing to comply with condition of recognizance. Typically, once arrested, suspects are released with a promise to appear order and are given the conditions under which they are expected to follow while awaiting trial. In this case, both subjects have been charged with previous catalytic converter thefts back in October and were released at that time on conditions. Because it would appear that those conditions were not followed, both on the suspected chronic catalytic converter culprits, they are remanded in custody this time in relation to these new charges. And as always, if you have any information about these or any crimes, please contact the St. Albert RCMP at 780-458-7700. Stephanie Cordova is here to help us get our homes more organized with Cut the Clutter.
Last week we talked about sorting and space. This week we're going to talk about our final two S's of systems and sustaining. Systems could mean everything from using totes and labels, but typically your system is unique to you. I prefer to use clear totes, but again, it depends on where you're going to be storing them. Some people like their items behind closed doors, while other people like pretty boxes that they can see. Keeping like with like is the most important part. Using labels if you have multiple people in your family to keep track of your items. But most important, your system has to be flexible for you. And we're also going to talk about sustaining, which is also the most important part of organizing. To maintain a tidy, organized house means being a mindful consumer about what comes back into your home. Are you buying more than you need? Are you purchasing because you're sad or bored? Emotional purchases only help the seller, not the buyer. The other part of sustaining is the regular maintenance and tidying on a regular basis. When everything has a place and a system, this part is the easy part. When you set things down because they don't have a place, you start to get the clutter again. If it's not easy for you, perhaps you are missing a piece to the system. Clutter is nothing more than postponed decisions. Join us next week for another tip.
Well, are you or have you ever thought of being an urban farmer? Well, it's been a year since our city passed the hen bylaw, which allows homeowners to raise chickens in their backyards. Some of our neighbors see backyard hens as an opportunity to provide fresh eggs, control pests, or in fact eliminate food waste. Others perhaps enjoy their feathery friends as pets. Either way, 13 households in St. Albert have been approved to carry a hen license, which allows them to have up to 4 hens each. Now this really cracks me up. The hen license is valid for 1 year, which I don't know about your household, but along with me and my kids, a bucket of chicken doesn't last one night, let alone for a whole year. However, if you manage to keep your flock alive that long, you must be renewed with a license each year. Now, if you are interested in keeping backyard hens, you're required to demonstrate that you have had hens keeping experience or have taken hen keeping training. There is a course that allows interested people to learn more about feeding, winter precautions, healthcare, breeds, and how to be a good neighbor when you have hens in your yard. The course also helps some people realize that backyard hens are not a good fit for them. And once again, if you're interested, check out the city's website for more details and to find the hen program application. We love having Memory Roth as part of the TV7.ca crew, and here is her expertise on art in the city.
Hi Jeff, welcome to TV7.ca. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Oh, yeah. So I've been shooting, I guess, in and around St. Albert for the last 10 years, doing local photography like landscape and night sky, and then branching out further and further into Alberta and then the mountains and like north up to Fort Chip and as far south as like the Hat and you know, like, was it Reading on Stone, you know, Provincial Park and things like that. So kind of exploring the landscape of Alberta.
So what's your connection to St. Albert?
So we moved here about 10 years ago. Work brought me here to Edmonton. So we spent about, I think, like 4 weeks trying to find a place. And then not a big city person. So when we came up to St. Albert, it felt right. You know, the right size, the right feel, and then you got the grain elevators, and I don't know, they were red. Remember one of them was red?
Yeah, I remember.
And yeah, it just fit, if you know what I mean. And then we found a house that we liked, and we've been there ever since.
Have you been taking photography or doing photography around St. Albert ever since you moved here?
Yep. So it started when we lived overseas. And it was, you know, the kids start to grow up and you're taking pictures of the kids, and then you start looking around at the landscape and things, and you go, oh, this is actually kind of nice. And then one thing leads to another and another. And then when we left the island and came here, then it was a much bigger place to explore.
So have you explored a lot of Alberta, or I know you do go all over the place, but do you have a favorite spot in Alberta that you like to go to?
I like the national parks. The mountains are always a go-to, but I also like to explore like the countryside in the sense of rural Alberta, the old homesteads, a bit of the heritage, the history. So I can spend as much time on the prairie as I do in the mountains.
So when you do get out of Alberta, do you have a favorite spot?
I'd say the Yukon. So I've been there once, and I'd like to go back again. But this time drive up the Dempster Highway all the way up to, I think it's, I want to say the Arctic Ocean, but I think it's more, it's something else. But anyway, you know, the road up to Tuktoyaktuk is now open.
Okay.
So it's pretty extraordinary up in the Yukon.
When you get to these places, what do you like to focus on the most in your photography?
Sometimes I shoot quite wide to get the whole scene, but then other times I'll shoot narrow and focus on particular aspects. I like moody, I like atmospheric, trying to find the uncommon, if you know what I mean. So, and you just kind of, once you're in situ, you start to respond to the environment. And then you sort of, that's then the real you coming out, and now you're responding to a particular scene or where you put yourself, and then you make those images then. Yeah.
And around St. Albert, I know you've got a lot of the landmarks, and you know, Big Lake, and you did some beautiful photography for the New Year's fireworks.
Yeah, that kind of worked out nice. I wasn't sure if that would work out.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I've shot there for July, because you can kind of rely on a bit of ambient light during the blue hour, right? But here, I mean, the sun's gone and we're into like, you know, really dark skies, but there was enough ambient light to illuminate the grain elevator. And I think it's an important landmark because there's so few left.
Yeah, for sure.
So those turned out pretty.
Oh, they were beautiful. So
nice.
If people want to see your photography, which I think everybody should, where can they find you?
So at Jeff Wallace Photography on the Facebook. And Where's Jeff on Instagram, and that's with a Z.
Okay, Where's Jeff with a Z?
Yeah.
Perfect.
That'd be great.
Well, thank you so much, for the interview. It's been great seeing you again, and I'm really looking forward to all the new stuff that you're going to be putting out there.
Yeah, new decade.
New decade. That's great.
Make more stuff. Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm Memory Roth. This has been Art in the City on TV7.ca.
Well, starting this Sunday, the Mike Mitchell Recycling Depot will be open 6 days a week, with Mondays being the only closed day. Now, of course, the Mike Mitchell Recycling Depot is located in Campbell Park, and it's the only place in town to bring your paint, your hazardous waste, your electronics, and your tires for disposal. And you can also bring your cardboard, your paper, and other items that may or may not be allowed in your blue bag this week. The newly extended hours for Saturday are from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Sundays 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Throughout the week, they're open from 10 till 6 Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, Thursdays from 12 to 8. Well, if you are as confused by these hours as I am, I had to write them down, obviously. Perhaps you should go to the city's website for clarification, and they are written down there. The website also has a complete list of what is and is not accepted at the depot. As always, please welcome Crystal Lucier with Financial Focus.
I want money.
What is a minute book? There are two types of businesses generally used in Canada. A proprietorship, which is filed on your regular personal taxes and has a fiscal year of January to December. And there's a corporation, which can have a different fiscal year end date and is a separate entity from you personally. If you're incorporated, we file a T2 return for your business. What many people don't know is that when you have a corporation, you have other filing responsibilities. You have to complete your annual return every year with the registry, and you need to ensure that you have a minute book and that that minute book is up to date. So what exactly is a minute book? A corporation has to follow regulations within the Business Corporations Act. This includes maintaining a minute book. A minute book can be a small binder that holds your certificates and articles of incorporation, your annual returns filed with registry, and any resolutions indicating dividends issued from your corporation. It should also include a set of corporate bylaws. You need this book to provide to CRA if you're ever under audit, and you'll likely be asked for it when you're visiting your accountant. You want to ensure that you have all corporate affairs in order and that the information required is accessible when you need it. If you have more questions about minute books and compliance, feel free to reach out and contact us. I'm Crystal Lucier with Preferred Tax Solutions, and this is TV7.ca.
I want money.
Michelle Parker's here weekly, always helping us feel better about ourselves on Let's Get Fit.
All right, so welcome. Today we're going to be talking about getting enough rest. Well, many of us know that poor sleeping habits can affect our physical and mental performance. Did you also know that poor sleep can affect your weight loss? So if one of your goals this year is to lose body fat, not only should you be considering exercising and nutrition plans, you should also be taking a look at your sleeping patterns. So most healthy adults need between 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night to function at their best. Children and teens even more. So this week's challenge, get some rest. Sounds so simple, yet with so many competing priorities in our lives, it can be quite a challenge for many of us. So this week's challenge is to get 7 or more hours per sleep. If not sleep, at least rest. Close your eyes, lie down with that intention of sleeping each day this week. Give it a try because you are worth it. So bonus, of course, we're going to add in a move of the week today. So as part of your evening wind down, settle down on the ground for 5 to 7 minutes of stretching to end off your daily routine. So let's come on down to the floor together and we'll take you through some stretching moves. All right, well, welcome back down to the ground, everyone. We're going to start off with one of my favorite stretches, and it's very simple. We're just going to sit down with one leg extended, toes pointing up to the ceiling, your other knees hugged towards your chest, and we're going to cross it over and give it a nice big hug. As you hug out that knee, you should be feeling that stretch in through your glute, and trust me, a good glute stretch feels great any day. So you're going to hold on to these stretches for about 2 to 3 big, deep breaths in and out. And of course, when you're done, you're going to be switching legs. All right? So bringing the other knee into your chest, crossing it over, and you give a nice big hug. Now, I did mention 5 to 7 minutes of stretching. So that is a recommendation for most days of your week. So try about 5 or more days per week to get in 5 to 7 minutes of stretching. Again, 2 to 3 deep breaths, and you can move into your next stretch. One of my other favorites is simply to bring your legs and cross them in front of you. You're going to repeat this with the legs reversed afterwards. It's just hinging at those hips, letting yourself fall forward, and then your hands may come down to the ground. When you're here and settled, drop your chin towards your chest, elongating out that spine and enjoying the moment. Feeling a couple of deep breaths in and out. When you're ready, you can use those hands to walk yourself back in before switching your legs and repeating the same move, just so you can make sure you're balancing out that stretch. Now, after you've done that forward bend, chin to chest, and held it here for 2 or 3 deep breaths, another variation will be to walk your hands over to the side, deepening that stretch up through the side of your body. A couple deep breaths here before you move to the other side and do it again. Now, of course, those are some great lower body stretches. You also have that upper body where you can bring one arm across. Make sure you're never pulling on a joint, either above and below it. And with any of our stretches, similar to what I'm doing, try and keep those shoulders down and pulled away from your ears. We do enough things like this in our day-to-day lives, whether we're on the phone, driving in cars, or sitting at the office. Everyone from TV7.ca, I'm Michelle. Have a wonderful day.
And that's it. That is all this week. If you have any community events or news you'd like to share with our viewers, please send us an email at news@tv7.ca. As well, businesses in St. Albert, if you have any advertising that you'd like to do with TV7.ca, please, by all means, we're open for marketing and advertising opportunities with you. We'd love to talk to you. News@tv7.ca. Just drop us a line. And from all of us here at TV7.ca, Lisa will be back next week. I'm Paul Huckelak, and have an amazing week.